Welcome to week 11 of 52 Weeks of Storytelling. This week, we are talking about where you raised your family or yourself. This topic won't be applicable to everyone because some of you might not have grown up yet or you didn't have kids, but bear with me. There might be something in here that you will enjoy. But first, I want to give you an intro into 52 Weeks of Storytelling. 52 Weeks of Storytelling is what I'm doing over the course of the next year, or through a couple of weeks, and I'm not going to do the math right now. So basically, there is a video that drops every single week that walks you through one specific prompt. And inside each video, I give you examples of how you can write the story, what to say, what to do next, and possibly who to share it with. I also share an example of a story from my life, which I know there's some people that I know you're only showing up to listen to that story, and I love you. So with that is the intro to 52 Weeks of Storytelling. Inside the description of this video, you will find links to a printed journal and a PDF version of the journal. Make sure you are looking for the guided prompt journal when you go onto Etsy. The link will take you directly to the Etsy listing. There's also a printed opportunity over on Amazon that runs about $20 US dollars. And it shows up in a couple of days if you have Prime. So that is that. Don't forget to grab the journal if you wanted. You absolutely do not have to do that. It's just kind of fun when that shows up and it says someone bought the journal. So with that, let's jump into the writing storytelling method. So the legacy storytelling method is a core of 5 questions and then an additional 3 to 5 questions depending on the type of prompt. If you go to the website www.thelegacyrecorder.com and you look for something like legacy chat or prompts, you'll get a whole ton of things that come back to you. So I've spent the last 6 years writing out, using the storytelling method, different ways of asking questions. So let's do the core of the storytelling method. We start with the 5 W's, which are who, what, when, where, and why. Why is usually where people get tripped up. I like to think of why, and how I explain it is how you got to this moment. Why are you here? Why did this thing happen? Usually there's a couple layers to that part of the story, and it gets you to start thinking critically about the moment and constructively. At this point, you might actually have to reach out to someone else, depending on what the memory is. If someone else was there with you, odds are their perspective is going to be different. So if you were with a parent and you don't know why something happened, it might be a chance to open up and start a conversation about that moment. The following questions are what I like to call the digging deeper questions. These are the feelings and impact questions. So the feelings and impact questions usually are along the lines of, why did you pick this moment? Why is it important to you? What impact did it have on you? How do you feel about it now? And then what do you want people to remember about this moment? By the time you get to that last question, you have spent a lot of time thinking about this memory or this moment, and it gets pretty easy to write about it. If you had trouble with the previous questions, you can go back and write them out. By the time you get through this storytelling method, you potentially will have a full page. I have seen some people write whole essays. They have 3 pages of writing, and it's really quite amazing. So whatever you do is right for you. You can use these as a guide. You do not have to follow them exactly. If something else works for you, go for it. With that, let's jump into this week's story prompt. This week's story prompt is a memory of where you raised your children or yourself. I like to include different options for writing and writing prompts because not everyone has kids and not everyone's grown up yet. So last week's prompt was, I'm pretty sure was where you grew up. Oh man, never mind. One of the prompts was where you grew up. Now, some people may be raising their children in the same place they grew up. In that case, think about when you were raising your children, or if you're currently raising your children, what's a favorite memory out of that? And then go back and use the legacy storytelling method to write about that moment. If you are living somewhere else, same thing. Think about a moment that you really enjoyed in that other place. Was there something specific? Was there something that made it extra special? Did you move there on purpose to raise your children there? Did you change location for that? And then if you never had children and you're not going there, I love you. Let's do it. How about raising yourself? I want to hear about and have you think about where you raised yourself. Where did you have your college years? Where did you go to college? What was that like? Was there a memory in there? What about the next stage? Did you move for a job? Did you have something that happened there, and how did that demographic and geographical location impact you? Those are the things I want you to think about with these prompts and this particular line of questioning. So if you have questions about any of that, feel free to put them in the comments of wherever you are watching this video or listening in, and I'll circle back and answer. So let's get into my story example. I kind of shared it a little bit in one of the previous videos. I feel like I'm still raising myself. But I am raising small humans. So we actually moved to a small town in Western Pennsylvania. We're an hour north of Pittsburgh. And one of the reasons we moved here is that we knew that it would be fairly easy for my mom to travel from Phoenix to Pittsburgh to see her grandkids. And it was really important to me and to my partner that they have a relationship with his parents. Because one of the things that I had growing up was being able to go and visit my dad's family in Ireland, which was kind of a big deal. Because we lived in Phoenix, it was a 10-hour flight to go see them. So we went about every other year, which, to be able to say that I got to travel to Ireland every other year growing up, that's like epic, pretty much until we were teenagers. So it was really important when we were thinking about where we wanted to raise the kids. We actually started in Phoenix. And then at some point I decided that's a story for another video. We moved back to Western Pennsylvania where his family and his parents were, so that our kids could have a relationship with them. And I knew that because my mom was solo and on her own now, it would be easier for her to be able to fly back and see us. And that's how we ended up here. And I shared before about missing things like streets that my kids could ride their bicycles on. But where we live, it's gorgeous. There's lots of trees. There's so much open space. And being a city kid, I really love that. I love that there are really cool recreational areas like just within 10 minutes of us, whereas before we would have had to drive 30, 45, an hour, 2 hours to get to. I hope that this has helped you write some part of your story. Don't forget to check back for more, check the playlist, and grab your journals. With that, I hope you have an incredibly wonderful day. And until we talk again, happy writing.